I do enjoy a relaxing high-speed train ride in the morning, so we got our Shinkansen tickets, hopped on the first available bullet train, and observed the amazing Japanese scenery on a hot summer day. Now this is the Japan I've fallen in love with almost instantly. To think that just about 30 minutes away from the noisy metropolis is a green, peaceful rural landscape is simply baffling. Small towns with remote houses and vast farmlands give way to the mountains and azure coastlines. It's a really peaceful and thought-provoking view that sets your mind at ease, and all you want to do is savor the moment without saying a single word. It's a shame that Mount Fuji wasn't in the mood that day and was covered in clouds just as we were passing Shizuoka, where you can get the best view of the iconic mountain from the left side of the train. We had 3 days planned for a Tokyo adventure and weren't going to waste a single minute as there was so much to see. So we quickly navigated through Tokyo's subway, made our way to the hotel in Ikebukuro, and were already on the train again just a few hours after our arrival. Well, when I say we quickly navigated through Tokyo's subway, I mean we wandered cluelessly for some time before getting the hang of things. Out of the 3 subway systems that we've used on our trip, I believe that Tokyo's is the worst. There's just too much pointless walking in desperate search for the correct exit, to the point where you just want to reach the surface regardless of where you end up. Perhaps it's a me problem and others find Tokyo's subway system easy. Thank God there are loop lines made to decrease the number of train changes. A quick bite of Family Mart's famous Famichiki and Shibuya was waiting. The famous crossing! The Shibuya Scramble, the legend, the spot from Persona 5 and Tokyo Drift and a countless number of other titles. It was cool and all, but honestly it didn't live up to the hype. Surprise surprise, it's just a regular crosswalk surrounded by aggressive billboards. There are way more interesting places to visit, but this was a bucket list location after all. I don't want to ruin anyone's dream, but Shibuya Scramble isn't as mind-breaking as some believe it to be. Shibuya as a whole is very nice and full of character. It definitely feels like the ever-lively neighborhood that I expected it to be. Our plan was to walk from Shibuya all the way to Kabukicho in Shinjuku to see the legendary nightlife area in all of its neon-lit glory. Right after the Shibuya Scramble district comes a place very familiar to SMT3 Nocturne fans, Yoyogi Park. Thankfully it's not a grey wasteland as seen in the aforementioned game. Yoyogi Park is a lively patch of green land in the middle of a busy neighborhood. If you're going from Shibuya to Shinjuku on foot, it's nearly impossible to miss the fashionable Harajuku area, the perfect mix of nature and industrial lights complemented by fashionable stores and well-dressed people. It was starting to get dark and this area really showed its various colors for us to enjoy. It was here that I finally rolled a few J-League gachas to determine which teams to play in my next FIFA or Football Manager saves. Nagoya Grampus and Avispa Fukuoka were the teams I got. Not bad at all, I must say. As the sun set, we approached Shinjuku and got bombarded by the endless barrage of bright lights and colorful marquees. We were approaching our final spot for the day. 2 actually. The famous red gate entrance to the Kabukicho, and the massive Godzilla head peeking from the top of the building. Kabukicho after dark is buzzing with life, offering many different activities for those interested in the hotter side of Tokyo's nightlife. Countless bars, clubs, and other non-PG-13 locations are at every corner, looking to satisfy the needs of the next customer. I've played quite a lot of Yakuza before our arrival in Japan, so it was nice to see the location the game world was based on. My only regret is that we didn't find the legendary bar plastic model frequented by Suda51, the genius behind No More Heroes and other insane games. Nothing beats a half-family malt caffeinated beverage on a rainy morning. Even if it's almost 35 degrees Celsius with 100% humidity. This is just something I had to get used to during my stay in Japan. You're always hot in the summer regardless of the weather. Unless you go inside the building, that is. Our plan for the day involved partaking in more indoor activities as Japan's rains are no joke and can make navigating the streets a far less pleasant experience than it would be on a clear day, as the excess water only makes an already harsh weather even more unbearable. So we decided to explore Ikebukuro, hit the arcades and visit the local Super Potato, the famous retro video game store with multiple locations across Japan. I will make a separate video where I'll show all of the pickups from the trip, but for now I can assure you that I did find something very interesting in the aforementioned store. We hit a few gacha and crane game spots, including a Capcom branded arcade, played another round of Typhoon no Tatsujin, and then hopped on the train to Ginza. Ginza is all about the fashion, glamour and fancy cars. It was there where I stumbled upon the Nissan Crossing, a boutique-esque showroom all about Nissan cars and memorabilia, and I just had to see it for myself. Inside there were 2 floors showcasing Nissan's past, present and future cars with a cool little trivia game called the Game Changers that anyone can take part in by answering questions in the brochure and solving puzzles hidden inside the showroom. I really geeked out over the presented cars and walked around them endlessly, admiring the fine details of these beautiful machines. The original Skyline GTR and Fairlady Z stood side by side with their modern counterparts, showing how far these respective models have come. There's also a special Nissan branded cafe inside the facility where they make special drinks with latte art prints of the car of your choice, not to mention the soft drinks with the colors taken from Nissan's official catalog. Nissan is a very special brand to me as my grandfather owned their cars for nearly 20 years. All I was thinking about at that moment is how happy he would be if I told him about the Nissan Crossing and bought a nice souvenir from there. So not only was this a cool place with an amazing view, but a very sentimental stop on our journey. We had another place to visit in Ginza. You guessed it, the 12-story Uniqlo main store. Well, the legends are true, it was indeed massive with endless clothing options to choose from. Nothing really piqued our fancy, but we did pick up a few things for one of our friends. Our plan for this trip was to walk as much as we possibly could, so our next destination was the legendary electric town, Akihabara. Along the way we got to admire the urban landscape of central Tokyo and absorb the atmosphere of its busy streets. As it gets darker, this part of the city really comes to life and offers some of that flashiest, colorful views, delivering that Tokyo experience. Speaking of flashy, colorful views, Akihabara is probably the king of bright lights and a mecca for any respectable geek. Be it for the old school passage where they sell small electrical parts and tools, or the huge buildings filled from top to bottom with everything gaming and anime. It really can be a heaven on earth if you have enough time to explore Akihabara. Well, and having enough money to do that also helps, cause expect to have lots of shops and lots of things that you would like to buy there. I can guarantee you that. We hit lots of local arcades, gaming stores and had a wonderful time there. It was so good that this turned out to be our first of 2 visits to this area. If there are places I'd love to see again in Tokyo, Akihabara is definitely one of them. Day 7 was promising to be packed with places to go and things to do. We started by failing to get a table at any of the theme cafes we found in Ikebukuro. My word of advice, if you want to get into something like the Capcom Cafe, book in advance, don't be like us. Not being able to get into the cafe didn't discourage us one bit and we decided it was time to hit Tokyo's arcades hard. Typhoon no Tatsujin, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Vanguard Midnight, and other exciting cabinets awaited for us. We've had an amazing time blasting through the levels of the respective games. Now, I don't want to brag or anything, but I won first place both in the JoJo Battle Royale and the Vanguard Midnight games. Loved both of them and was amazed by the presentation and number of features. After wandering around Ikebukuro for a little more, it was time to head for the Imperial Palace in the heart of Tokyo. The palace was closed for visits, but we got a peaceful walk through the Shibuya Park and its many sections dedicated to different sporting activities. Even though His Highness's residence was off limits, the surrounding territory was open for visitors and provided a wonderful insight into how Tokyo looked like centuries ago. Next time we're in Japan, I got to see the inside of a Japanese castle, as this view only whet my appetite. Next on our list was Tokyo Tower. This thing is huge! And it's not an exaggeration. We stood right below Tokyo Tower and were stunned by its sheer size. It took quite some effort to get this magnificent building in frame, let me tell you. Tokyo Tower is a legendary landmark that makes its appearance in countless video game, anime and manga titles, so it was a true honor to see it in real life and understand its scale. The weather was absolutely perfect, so we decided to take another long walk to the Ginza station and hop on the train to our final destination for the day. But before that, we checked out the local stores and enjoyed Tokyo's fashion neighborhood after dark. Japan's commercial buildings are a sight to behold in the evening, as you finally get to see the architects' designs in all their illuminated glory. Some areas really come to life only after the sun sets. We stumbled upon Ginza's large toy shop and decided to check out what they offered. When I say it had almost everything, I really mean everything. Japan really feels like a place where everyone can let their inner child cut loose and run wild without having to worry about someone looking down on them or calling them out for being immature. People in Japan just enjoy their hobbies and try to live a happy life without any unnecessary stress, which they get in bucket loads in their day-to-day life, so at least everyone can just be themselves and relax in their free time. And I believe that this is key to living a healthy, happy life. Before arriving in Japan, there was one particular activity that I really wanted to try. I even marked the exact spot in Asakuse where I wanted to try my hand at the batting cages. Basically, it's a sports game where for a fee of around 400 yen you enter a special room with a baseball bat and try to hit a home run as baseballs are being launched at you via a special machine similar to the ones that are used during tennis practice. I sucked big time as it turned out to be much harder than I thought to hit the ball with a bat. However, it was still very fun. So fun in fact that batting is something that I'd like to try even after the trip to Japan. Maybe I'll get into baseball, who knows. Asakuse itself was also beautiful with bright lights and broad modern streets giving way to more narrow traditional alleys. It's a wonderful mix of old and new, reminiscent of Shinsekai and Osaka, which I loved. After such an exciting day, it was time to go back to the hotel and get some rest to prepare for what our second to last day in Japan would bring. In part 1 of our Japanese trip, I mentioned that I like to plan things ahead. And what's more important is that I like to stick to the plan if there is one. So originally we were supposed to check out of the hotel before 10 o'clock in the morning, catch a bullet train, and be back in Kansai by about 3 to watch the Goza no Okubi festival in Kyoto. However, the weather had other ideas. I got up at 8 AM to receive a message from my Japanese teacher expressing her concern that I wouldn't make it out of Tokyo due to the approaching typhoon. And indeed, all of the Shinkansen trains were cancelled for the whole day and daytime buses were all sold out. So our only option was to get the night bus tickets and spend another full day in Tokyo to kill some time before our departure at 10 in the evening. I even got interviewed by the local TV station to give a few comments on the situation. It was weird but pretty fun because I do speak a little bit of Japanese and the reporter spoke a little bit of English, so I think we're kind of on the level field there in terms of our skills in speaking a different language. But it was cool. I didn't mind because not like I had many things to do before that, so yeah, it was also an interesting experience. Tokyo is definitely not the worst place to spend another day in, but we were a bit concerned as we had a hotel in Osaka booked for that day, plus a plane to catch the day after. Having sorted out our ticket situation and left the baggage in Tokyo Station's coin lockers, we went on foot back to Akihabara through Kanda, as we figured that it would be better to spend the day somewhere indoors, and Akihabara was the perfect solution, being only 30 minutes away from the station. I'm a firm believer that everything in our life happens for a reason, and we would have missed out on many magical moments if this weren't for this crazy little thing called fate. And as fate would have it, just a few minutes after we set out to Akihabara, we stumbled upon a small pond filled with beautiful nishigoi, koi fish to put it simply. I've never seen them in real life, and neither had my wife. Dear Lord, they're so big and elegant. So many color variations. They really made our day. So there's something even when things don't seem to be going well. Kanda for some reason had adult entertainment billboards all over the place. My guess is that it's the same local pleasure district akin to Kabukicho in Shinjuku. Even though it rained quite heavily at times, it didn't stop us from taking wonderful pictures, with the rain adding an extra layer to the atmosphere. Japan really does feel very different in the rain. As we approached Akihabara, the weather really started to get moody, so in order to avoid getting the blues, we jumped right into Akibara's endless shops and arcades to pass the time and have a good laugh in the process. Here we found an entire floor dedicated to rhythm games. From Dance Dance Revolution to DJ Hero S games, this place had it all. To my surprise, there was a full electronic drum kit converted into an arcade rhythm game, made by Konami no less, so I had to try it. I've never properly played the drums before, but this arcade actually got me invested in the process, as I had a really good time blasting through the Evangelion opening, a song that haunted me during every step of our journey. I gotta say, it was good to be back in Akihabara and actually get more time to explore the area without rushing anywhere. Our second time here felt more like the experience I was hoping for, so thank you, Mr. Typhoon. As we made our way back to the station, the weather decided to show its true power as winds blew violently and the rain poured. All the more reasons to enjoy a nice iced coffee with an excellent view on the rainy streets of Tokyo. Tokyo Station was also pretty nice, with different shops and small eateries located on one of the lower floors. I like the Pokemon themed floor plan on the character street, where many themed shops were located. And it also became apparent to me how much baseball is loved in Japan, with special promo materials for the latest Power Pro baseball game located in the very center of the station. Finally, it was time to hop on the bus and make our way back to Osaka for our last day in Japan. Tokyo was a bit of a mixed bag for us at first, with overcrowded areas and some of our dream spots not really living up to their hype. But as we explored more and more, it all started to come together, and we were leaving with great memories of this place. It might not be the city for everyone, but Tokyo definitely has its charm, and I suggest that you go there for yourself and see if this wild, busy place is for you. The next 24 hours were looking to get even more action-packed than our last day in Tokyo with all the typhoon commotion. We arrived in Osaka at around 6 o'clock in the morning to witness my favorite city wake up. I love the early hours in any place, but rarely have the opportunity to see it for myself, so it was a blessing in disguise that we took the midnight bus. The plan was to get back to Kyoto, leave our luggage at the Kyoto station's coin lockers, like we did in our last day in Tokyo, spend the rest of the day with our friend in Kyoto, and then catch the evening direct train to the Kansai International Airport. Less than 1 hour passed since our return to Osaka, and we were already on the hotel that was booked for the previous night to sort out the booking situation, catch a little breather, rearrange some of our luggage, and be on our way to the Shin Osaka station to catch a rapid train bound for Kyoto. And I just want to take a moment to talk about the Japanese people. At first you might think that most of them are very cold and disconnected with next to no regard for the others. But in reality, the Japanese simply respect other people's personal space and understand the importance of not being a nuisance to everyone around them. However, if you need help and make the effort and at least try to address them in Japanese, they'll be more than happy to assist you. I've had multiple instances throughout our holiday where I asked for directions or if we were on the correct train, and not a single time was I met with aggression or like a "sorry, I'm busy" reply. It was always the opposite. The people I was talking to would stop doing everything and dedicate their time to help me out. And I know it's probably a minor thing, but so pleasant nonetheless. Returning to Kansai strangely felt like coming home, and Kyoto in particular was a sight for sore eyes. We definitely fell in love with this region and would like to revisit it in the future. We made our way through the peaceful streets back to the busy Kawaramachi Dori and shared many laughs with our friend who spent the entire day with us, showing more cool locations and helping us get the most out of our final day in the land of the rising sun. This day was more about our final bits of shopping while admiring the incredible views and absorbing the amazing atmosphere one last time. For example, we visited Nintendo Kyoto, a massive Nintendo-themed store selling everything from consoles and games to endless merchandise, all made in the style of Nintendo's beloved franchises. If you're a true Nintendo fan or just a gaming enthusiast, it is a must to visit one of these stores on your trip to Japan. Some amazing food was also on the menu as we hit the famous conveyor belt sushi place with an incredibly good menu and somewhat reasonable prices. It wasn't the first time we went to a place like this during our stay in Japan, but this one felt that little bit more special for a number of reasons. It was in Kyoto when I finally gave in to the temptation of getting a home version of one of the arcade games that we've played in almost every city we went to, along with a couple of more things to remind me of our time in Japan. All good things must come to an end, as it was time for us to head back to the Kyoto station and catch a Hello Kitty themed train to the airport. When I first heard about it, I thought it was some kind of a joke, but it was real. A massive train covered in Hello Kitty colors and characters. If you have to leave Japan, this is definitely the way to do it. As the train made its way through the peaceful evening Kyoto and Osaka, I sat gazing at the place we were about to leave. Both me and my wife were dreaming of this trip for many years. I never thought that it would ever become a reality. After watching so many videos and reading so many articles, you'd think that reality would be disappointing and the expectations would never be matched. However, Japan just so happens to be a place that you simply cannot overhype, regardless of what you like and what sort of lifestyle you have. There is something for everyone to enjoy. If you have enough time and patience to find your thing in this endless sea of light, history and entertainment, you're definitely going to find something that you like. One last Family Mart visit to get some of that delicious konbini goodness, and a notebook with a pen to write down my thoughts about this trip, as I'm doing right now. It's a bittersweet moment saying goodbye to Japan, but I'm positive that this isn't the last time we're here, as there's still so much to discover and learn about this mysterious, yet now familiar place. To anyone contemplating whether they should go to Japan or not, my answer is a definite yes. And do it as many times as you can, because Japan is really a gift that keeps on giving. Thank you for watching. So this was part 2 of my Japanese trip. In case you missed part 1, I'll leave it in the description and be sure to check it out too. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.